The LSU baseball team went 1-2 in Hoover SEC baseball tournament over the weekend. They will head to the Hattiesburg Regional to open postseason play. I was wrong. Like I said in the last segment, Musso, I thought LSU had done enough to host, even before the losses to Tennessee and to Kentucky, but they are going to Hattiesburg, and the regional will feature Southern Miss, who is the Conference USA regular season champion. LSU is the 2 seed. Kennesaw State, who got the 3 seed by beating first-seeded Liberty in the Atlantic Sun Conference title game, and then 4-seeded Army. LSU starts off against Kennesaw State this Friday at 6 p.m., and the Tigers, sure enough, are the betting favorite to win the Hattiesburg Regional. LSU at plus 100 odds to win the regional. Southern Miss right behind at plus 140, followed by Kennesaw State at plus 700, and then Army, the long shot, at plus 3,500. The Tigers still getting some respects from the books here, Musa, because they are the betting favorite to win this regional, and they're still at 18-1 odds to win the national title, which is tied for the 4th shortest odds in the nation with one Virginia Tech. So the books still seem to respect LSU. What do you think of the draw?
I mean, okay, so look, if you're not hosting, this is about as great of a draw as you could ask for, honestly, if you're an LSU fan. The question was asked often throughout the last few weeks leading into Selection Monday or whatnot is, man, LSU's been so good away from home, do they really want to host? And the answer to that question I will always say is unequivocally, yes, you want to host. If you have the option to play at home, you want to play at home. For a couple of reasons. Obviously, look, LSU's going to pack that place out if it's the postseason. I don't care what the attendance numbers have looked like this year. I don't care. But if LSU's playing at home in the postseason, there's going to be 11,000, 12,000 people at the box. That's just how it's going to look. That's how it's always looked, and that wouldn't change. So you'd have the home field advantage. Number 2, when LSU hosts, they normally get a pretty favorable draw at the box, so they'll keep playing because more often than not, they're a top 8 national seed when they're hosting, and you want the second round there as well. So they get a little bit of a favorable draw. If you're looking at this is as favorable as a draw as LSU has gotten in a long time since they've had to travel. They're not going to the West Coast, which is phenomenal. They're not going to a top 8 national seed, which is great. They're going 2.5 hours down the road. They'll see some good competition here, but LSU being the betting favorite makes a lot of sense to me. They're one of the most dangerous 2 seeds in the country. They're right up there with a Wake Forest, who's a really dangerous 2 seed and is the betting favorite in their regional. They're right up there with Notre Dame, who's an incredibly dangerous 2 seed, who should be a regional host right now, but isn't. So, I mean, LSU, they're right up there with that group. It makes a lot of sense. I'll point out, the last time Southern Miss hosted a regional was 2017, and they did not come out of that regional. I remember that very, very vividly because that regional was paired with Baton Rouge that year, and Mississippi State came out of that regional and made the trip over for the Super. So it's only the second time in school history that they're hosting, so expect a heck of an atmosphere. They have been packing Pete Taylor Park all year. They've broken the attendance record there twice already this season. LSU fans will travel. It should be an awesome atmosphere. But as far as a draw, I mean, look, you got 2 different teams in there that would not have been at-large bids. I mean, that you can't go around the country and really say that in other places. I mean, look, you look at how Statesboro is one of them. Texas Tech was an at-large. Notre Dame was an at-large. I mean, you got both those teams. Kennesaw State wasn't getting in unless they won the A-Sun tournament, and they did, and congratulations to them on that. That's awesome. Army wasn't getting in unless they won the Patriot League, right? And they did. Congratulations to them. But that's how you should kind of decipher a favorable draw or whatnot is how many at-large teams are you paired with, and LSU's the only at-large in there.
Well said. And as far as the weekend went for LSU, I thought they hung tough against Tennessee. You saw some good stuff offensively early in that game. You had success against Chase Dahlander, which was really good to see. Floyd continues to show some good things. And then against Kentucky in the last game, it was just a bad start that kind of snowballed for LSU. And unfortunately, those 2 games maybe cost you an opportunity to host in that first round. But like I said, I thought LSU had done enough, and I was wrong. And when you look at the draw, even going further, if you look ahead a little bit, potentially some cool matchups for LSU. They're paired with the Coral Gables Regional, which features Miami, Arizona, Ole Miss, and Kansas, who I just heard of and has a baseball program today.
There's also a tropical storm heading there.
Best of luck to the teams there. But Again, LSU can still host too, technically in the next round if things kind of fall their way between now and then. And it's unfortunate, like you said, you'd like to be in the box, but maybe down the road. And still, all things considered, whether you talk about the Hattiesburg Regional or what's potentially down the road, a pretty good draw for LSU and potentially some cool matchups. Imagine if Jay Johnson faces off against his former team in Arizona in the next round.
That is a possibility, and I mean, Ole Miss is another possibility. And I mean, that's
might be Yanko Bowl.
You talk about a hot team right now going into the postseason. You would talk about, we just listed off some of the most dangerous 2 seeds in the country. I would be willing to bet that Ole Miss is the most dangerous 3 seed right now in the country. DeLucia's pitching well. Hunter Elliott's pitching well. Now, look, you go through Coral Gables. Miami's been up and down this year, though, man. So it's possible. They do have a couple nice frontline arms there in Coral Gables as well. But it should be a really, really good really good tournament here. So, I mean, Kennesaw State, they've got 2 really nice frontline arms. Jack Myers has been the ace, the number 1, but the number 2 guy, the lefty, whose name I'm going to butcher if I try to say it, he's actually been the better of the 2, and I'd imagine LSU's going to end up seeing a lefty if the chance presents itself. But Donovan Cash for Kennesaw State, the freshman of the year in the ASUN, so they're a good team, man, and it's going to be interesting. But LSU, as you said, the betting favorite at even money right now to win the Hattiesburg Regional, and for me that makes a lot of sense. They're a dangerous team right now.
Tigers heading to Hattiesburg to potentially face Southern Miss, Kennesaw State, and Army. They start with Kennesaw State on Friday afternoon, and if you're an LSU fan, just based on past history, what they did last year, kind of a similar spot. You would think you feel pretty good as they try to make another run to the Super Regional and potentially to Omaha. And we know this year it's been kind of weird for LSU because they've been really good on the road, even compared to at home, especially when it comes to SEC opponents. Because LSU this season on the road, 10-7 overall. They're 10-5 in the SEC compared to 7-8 in the SEC at home. And then kind of good news, bad news thing here if you're an LSU fan. The Tigers have not reached Omaha by going on the road for both the regional and Super Regional rounds since the tournament format changed back in 1999. But Jay Johnson did do that 2016 in his first year at Arizona. So LSU fans kind of hoping history repeats itself here. And LSU, like I said last season, in a similar spot based on their draw and where they were going into the tournament. And Jay Johnson himself has also been here. So maybe that experience bodes well for LSU.
There is some experience there for sure. And I mean, you know, like I was already kind of going back earlier this afternoon to kind of look through past Arizona regionals just to see how Jay Johnson kind of set up pitching or things of that nature. And I mean, they went through a good ULL team in 2016 and a good Mississippi State team as well to get to that point. So we'll look, man. We'll see. We'll see what they can get it done. It's a good draw. I mean, it's a really good draw. We just have to go out there and win the games. Like these teams are good too. Southern Miss has a pretty good club. Tanner Hall is the pitcher of the year in Conference USA. That's their strength, is pitching. They had 3 pitchers named first team all conference, did Southern Miss. So that is absolutely the strength there. And if you get to the Marble game, that 1-0 game, you're going to see Tanner Hall. Like that guy's not pitching against Army. You'd be a fool to throw him against Army. And I think Coach Barry understands that and probably won't go that direction.